Good morning, good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome, wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for the fans, all fans, new and old. Thank you all for joining us. This is episode 70. I'm your host, your grumpy old school wrestling fan, collector, barber, and musician, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Funko Pop collector, and Booker Andy.
Andy.
That would have been awkward. I'm also your host, the No Selling Wrestling Indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
I'm just going to have to end with Booker Andy for now on.
Well, guys, big show. We got the Raw 30th anniversary, Jay Briscoe Dynamite tribute, the Royal Rumble, and more. This is a huge episode. Hey, and cheers. Drinking a CM Punk Spindrift. Cheers to making this our best episode yet. I want to say before...
Do you got a muffin too?
What's that?
Do you got a muffin with it too?
No muffins. I did have spaghetti and meatballs, though, from a little Italian joint down the street bus. It was good shit, let me tell you.
There you go.
The old Delta Italian, you know? That's authentic. Well, before we get started, please head on over to YouTube, search the PW Fan. You'll find all of our episodes, everything we got so far. Pretty much all of them are video, except for, there's, I think 15 in the beginning when we started, which are just audio. But if you want to see the video version, go over there. Please subscribe. That helps us out a lot. For all other social media, you're going to find us by searching at the PW Fan. We also got merch on ProWrestlingTees.com. 5 different shirt designs, 2 Booker Andy, and then 3 different of our just graphics over the last couple years. So I love those shirts. They're really cool. I'm actually wearing one right now. If you're on video, you can see. And then we got the big logo on the back of our goofy looking faces. Before we get started today, I did want to say the funeral of Jermaine Pugh. Jermaine Pugh just took place, and I feel like there's a lot of fans out there that might be still grieving this loss in some way. I mean, I wasn't even the biggest Briscoes follower in the world, but it's really had, I think, as a father and stuff, it's really had a big impact on me. And we never really get this serious on the show, but I did think that hearing some words from his brother Mark might make some of you guys feel better. And I think it's something that we should hear, because we've all been worried about Mark, and it's good to hear that he's in decent spirits. So let's hear some words from Mark Pugh.
Then God asked me, he said, do you believe what you say you believe? He got me with that one. I was like, do you believe what you say you believe? Yes, Lord. He said, well, then you already know. Your brother right here with me, and he's good. Carry on. Carry on.
And I thought that was really beautiful. And I think hearing that, maybe that'll bring some peace to some of y'all who are still going through this loss. Like I said, I mean, it's not like they were my favorite wrestlers in the world, but as a wrestling fan, as a father, as a husband, as a human, it was a hard loss. So those were good words from Mark. Let's see. Yeah, we got a classic show of the week that we'll be talking about at the end. And Andy, I think that's going to wrap up the beginning. Again, I just wanted to share that. I thought that was special. I knew not a lot of people were going to even get to hear him say that. So hopefully the people that listen to our show can hear that and feel a little bit better. But Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you, and let's talk some pro wrestling this week. We had a fun show, man. Last week was pretty heartbreaking, but now we got some fun stuff coming up. The Royal Rumble happened. It's a lot of people's favorite pay-per-view. Take it away, sir.
All right. Starting off with Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, even though it was this week, WWE was go-home shows for the Rumble from Saturday. Raw was a big one, though. It was also the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. They were in Philadelphia, and it opened up with the Bloodline, including Paul Heyman. So Bloodline come out, and of course, because he's out there, we get some ECW chants that Paul Heyman addresses, but then basically shits on him afterwards, and I believe he shits on the Eagles as well, saying that he hopes the quarterback, whose first name is Brock, ends up, beating the Eagles, which that didn't happen. The Eagles
jokes on him now.
Eagles ended up winning 31-7. But so yeah, it was the trial of Sami Zayn, and it started with Paul Heyman, the wise man, kind of ragging on Sami and ripping him apart, claiming that he's been working with Kevin Owens since the beginning of joining the Bloodline. And to prove his point, he showed some clips that, in his mind, made Sami Zayn look bad. So then, when it was Sami's time to speak, he said, everything he did was, for the Bloodline, and didn't defend himself, though, too much. And Roman got mad, and since Sami didn't defend himself, and he yells solo, and he tells him to take him out with the Samoan spike, but Jey Uso actually came to Sami's aid. If you remember, for the longest time, Jey Uso was not Sami's biggest supporter.
This has been beautiful storytelling. This whole time.
It's one of the best stories, I think, that have been told in wrestling in a long time.
Honestly,
for WWE at least. For WWE.
No, this is one of my favorite. I think,
Well, I was thinking Punk and MJF was a very good one. Punk and MJF was up there.
No, they're with there too, because this is layered stories.
I mean, if we're talking strictly WWE, this has been beautifully built. I mean, this is probably one of my favorites ever, to be honest. I think this would hold up even if I was if I was a kid. I feel back in the early, late 90s, early 2000s, I feel like this would be I'd be into this still. This you really believe that these guys are close,
Well, it makes you wonder what if it probably wouldn't have if Vince was still in charge. It wouldn't end up how it ended up in the end, or maybe it would have. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But
it's hard to believe.
So Jey Uso comes to defend Sami and shows his own set of clips to defend Sami. And because of this, Roman says that he's not guilty for now, and that at the Rumble will be Sami's final test. This segment was great, start to finish. Though, unfortunately, for one of the matches later, it went a little over, which we will get to.
I love this segment, but the fact I know this now, I don't. I wish it didn't go as long.
Yeah, it went a little bit too long, and so they had to cut away from one of the matches, which we'll talk about. But right after this, while the Usos are there, we had the Usos versus the Judgment Day, who had won the, I think it was the Gauntlet, tag team Gauntlet, the week prior. It was, because Dom filled in for Balor at the very end. So the Usos versus the Judgment Day for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Winners were the Usos. After that, if you watch or listen to the episode before this one, you'll be able to kind of hear us spoil this next segment because we were kind of surprised by it. But LA Knight came out to talk about his match at the Rumble that's coming up with Bray Wyatt, and he was interrupted with Undertaker's classic music that starts with the dong and the moon, and the lights went dark, but then it switched to his American Badass theme, and we see a little bit of a motorcycle come out of the area.
The original theme, though.
No, it was like the Kid Rock one that they used for the montages of the Boneyard match, and it was yeah. So Undertaker,
they should have used the you've done.
I mean, I like
now.
The Big Evil.
You've gone
Corey Graves when
mistake.
when the bike was shown and Undertaker was coming out, when that was going on, Corey Graves says, "LA Knight, you've done it now." A little callback to the Big Evil.
Well, can I say
So
this? Were any of you guys a little bummed? Like, I kind of felt like we got the wrong Undertaker. You know, like you ordered the Undertaker and the wrong one showed up.
What with that one?
Well, like I feel like you
Freaking
got.
hair's long as shit.
I know you're about to get there, but Bray's going to be in the ring, and it's like I feel like mystical Undertaker with mystical Bray would just feel a little bit better. I don't know.
It does fit.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I feel like maybe American Badass Undertaker. I don't know. He was on Raw too. I mean, all of his versions were on Raw. I mean,
No,
it started.
American Badass was
it was
SmackDown
Bray is
mostly,
now.
though.
Yeah, true. Well,
That's true.
I don't know, man. They started with this classic music, and then they went to American Badass. They did a little bit of both. But
Hybrid.
the Kid Rock song seems to be the one that they've been doing montages of Undertaker lately in like his documentary.
Why Kid Rock?
I just don't like
The
that
one that's
one.
like, hey, hey, like, it's just, I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
Devil without
I would have rather heard "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit than that song.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not gonna lie.
I think
Please,
the pop would have been bigger, but
Roland would have been
Definitely.
much better. I'm not gonna lie. To be honest with you
yeah,
guys,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
it is. It's just as cheesy, but just less bad.
Yeah.
So when Undertaker gets in the ring, LA Knight tried to leave, but he gets about halfway up the ramp, and Bray Wyatt's music hits, and he blocks his path while holding his lantern. And so Knight gets back into the ring, where Undertaker ends up grabbing him by the throat, but he doesn't do a move to him. Instead, he tosses him towards Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt does a Sister Abigail. And then the infamous clip that was going around afterwards is Undertaker whispered something into Bray Wyatt's ear, which is, if you watch the press conference after the Royal Rumble, you know, Bray just says it's only for him to know. It's kind of like when The Rock whispered into Austin's ear after beating him at WrestleMania. You know, it's kind of
He said, "I love you," and thank you for
it
the
eventually
match.
did come out.
And I said, "I love him too."
It did come out.
I remember that.
So after the Sister Abigail match, like we talked about, the trial of Sami Zayn went a little long. So the next match was supposed to be Becky Lynch and Bayley steel cage match. Unfortunately, it had to be cut short, and it was a no contest basically because they took Becky Lynch out after she had just gotten to the ring. The whole squad of Damage Control took her out basically. Then we had a humorous for a little bit DX segment with Kurt Angle randomly. So they came out and they were eventually joined by Imperium, and Gunther went on his rant about, you know, the mat is sacred, and that I don't know. They basically wanted to get DX out of the ring, but they kept passing around like, well, someone's got to fight them, you know, and they all had their reasons for not fighting them. And
Triple H made that joke. He's like, this booking stuff isn't easy, guys.
he's like, why is everyone looking at me? You know, this booking stuff isn't easy, you know. So then I believe Seth Rollins answered the call, and then so did Street Profits. So I
Speaking
think
of
we ended up getting.
Speaking of Seth Rollins, little preview for next week. Chad Gable and Seth Rollins are having an absolute banger right now. I can't wait to go back and rewatch this. I've been like keeping an eye on it, like side eyeing it, and I'm like, even that's making me be like, holy shit. So I can't wait to go back and watch this.
Well, I brought this up before. Like Chad Gable and AJ Styles had a really good television match a couple years ago.
No,
Chad Gable can go.
they're literally crushing it right now. So I can't wait
Yeah.
to go back after the show and watch this. All right, carry on.
So yeah, that led to Seth Rollins and the Street Profits taking on Imperium, which the winners of that match were Seth Rollins and the Street Profits. After that, we had a segment of Ric Flair coming out and introducing his daughter to come out, Charlotte. It was kind of weird segment. I don't know.
Dude, any time Ric Flair comes out now, it makes me kind of nervous.
Yeah, just
Just in
You
terms
never
of, like,
know.
I don't know what he's going to say. And also,
Hey, but Andy, did you send in the group chat the thing from Conrad's show?
yeah, Andy sent that. Yeah.
Yeah, he said
What
he
thing?
apologized. He said,
it was a
he
TikTok.
said-
I didn't know what show it was from.
yeah, he said that Conrad
He apologized to
Conrad has
Becky
it.
Lynch and he apologized to Seth Rollins and told
Yeah.
him that he apologized to his wife. And then I guess him and Triple H had some words with each other because they hadn't been getting along. So I don't know. He made it seem like he's kind of realized it's not about him. I mean, unfortunately, it took so long, but he gets caught up in that character. It seems like a lot because he lives that character.
He's Ric Flair.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen the new documentary on Peacock, it's very good. Because every time there's a new documentary on him, which there's been a bunch, different things have gone on. So, like, this documentary goes over him almost dying in the hospital and stuff, as well as, like, everything that happened before.
Isn't that like multiple times now?
Not as
Almost died in the hospital.
much as, like, a few years ago when he literally almost died. But
Yeah.
then he still continues to drink, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Which
and then
is like part of the issue. So I'm not one to judge. So whatever. So after the Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair segment, we had a Miz and Kevin Owens segment. Which I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. There was so much that happened this year, but Miz was yelling about not getting a segment. And Owens ended up giving him a stunner, and the crowd popped for KO, and that was kind of just it. But
yeah, it wasn't much.
and the main event was Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory for the U.S. title. Winner was Austin Theory due to Brock Lesnar coming out and taking out Lashley, giving him an F5. And then he F5s Austin Theory on top of Lashley into the pin position. It was kind of cool.
That's crazy.
So
And Lashley and Lesnar at WrestleMania then.
that's what it's looking like. They teased. We'll get to it in the Rumble stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what it's looking like. So let's go into Dynamite real quick. I know we got kind of a lot to talk about, and we got a long show, but we'll go into Dynamite with some detail. This was the Dynamite the week after Jay Briscoe had passed away, and in a way was ROH did their tribute show, which is on YouTube. You can watch it. There's matches that they filmed after AEW last week, but there's also matches from Jay Briscoe's past, like mainly singles matches. I think there's one tag match against what you call it, Tim? They were called the Kings of
Kings of
or
Wrestling, Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero.
Yeah.
Which is
They also showed one with Adam
Cesaro.
Cole, like,
If anybody
wrestling.
doesn't know, Claudio Castagnoli is Cesaro. Some people don't watch AEW. I'm coming to find out more and more when I talk to clients at the barbershop. Like, I was cutting these sets of brothers, and this one kid who was like 12 was like, "Oh, I don't watch AEW." He's like, "I'm only Team WWE." And in my head, I was like, "Dang, this is like actually a thing." I didn't think like it was, but
You don't have to
It is.
team anything. You don't have to
I
pick
told him.
teams,
I
though.
said, "Oh man, you should just watch it. It's all fun." He said, "Yeah, there's some WWE guys over there." I said, "Yeah, that's where Dean Ambrose is." And like, I was trying to like kind of sell it a little bit to him,
Chris
but he was
Jericho?
just like, "Nah."
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan.
I mean, that show is just like, it takes forever to build a brand that people will watch, like just casual people.
Yeah. Which is probably why WCW, once Hogan got there, it like put a lot of eyes. And Kevin Nash and Scott. Oh. Anyway. So there was a Jay Briscoe tribute video, which was very emotional. It was very good. It kind of reminded me of the Eddie Guerrero one, that they did years ago at his passing.
Yeah.
It was well put together. We had a TNT Championship match, which was very good. Darby Allin versus Buddy Matthews. I feel like we don't see Buddy Matthews that much on TV, but
I was gonna say, I hope we see more of him.
yeah, this
like,
was a very
wrestling,
good match. The House of Black ended up coming out.
Yeah, well, he's
and,
seen Alexa Bliss every weekend, so good for him.
Who? Buddy Matthews? You mean Rhea
no,
Ripley?
he's not. Oh yeah, dang it. He used to date
He's with
Alexa
Rhea-
Bliss though.
We were literally watching the Rumble, and we're like talking about like Ryan Cabrera is married to Alexa Bliss.
That's right.
You're like, dude made one hit song. Anyway, Not like he's listening anyway.
I don't. Yeah, dude gets one hit song and then somehow
Mary's Alexa Bliss.
on the
You got to
way
see Tony
down,
Matthews.
I saw you.
We see what, Jeremy?
The Buddy Matthews shout out to Seth Rollins.
I might have missed it. What did he do?
He did.
What did he do?
He did curb stomp, and he did like the buckle bomb, and then into the curb stomp.
Well, if you remember, he was part of Seth's group during the pandemic era.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause
When they took Ray's eye and they took Malachi Black's eye.
Yeah.
Dude,
God, that
Rey
line thing for so
Mysterio,
long.
he needs to seriously do a tell-all. I am like, dude, how did you grow an eye back, bro? You gotta.
Dude, he's got eye heat backstage.
He's got eye heat. He had a good eye the whole time.
So House of Black comes out. Sting helps attack them, and winner by the end of the match was Darby Allin to retain. But then a video from Samoa Joe came up on the screen, so it looks like Joe isn't finished with Darby Allin. Looks like this is going to continue.
No holds barred match, I think, this week.
Is that what's going on?
This Wednesday? Yeah.
So then we had the Guns and the Acclaimed Family Therapy.
Family therapy.
Which
This had like a few good lines, but that was kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've never really liked a family therapy or any therapy thing that they do in wrestling.
Yeah.
Hello.
The only good line was
It was just bland, you know. Nothing. It did nothing to like push the feud forward.
It's me, Kane.
it was just like the gun club when they're like, we gave you our dad.
Yeah, we gave you our
We
dad.
gave you our dad.
Then we had Brian Cage Brian Cage versus Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson had to continue his win streak in order to get to MJF at the next pay-per-view. So MJF ended up, I believe, interfering in the match or trying to, and during or before he could, Konosuke Takeshita, I believe, came out. And I guess he wasn't done with all the shit talking from MJF. So he ended up coming out to help. And your winner in the end was Bryan Danielson. But I believe, didn't Bryan get hurt at the end? Didn't they attack Bryan?
Yeah, and then there was that backstage clip of him, like the doctor was like, I don't know if you can wrestle, and then Bryan was like, I don't give a shit.
It's like, he's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm like,
Yeah.
calm down.
I'm not gonna listen to a doctor. I'm like, that's not the right words to use for him.
Our main event though was we had a phenomenal match. Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal being Jay Briscoe is
Banger.
one of his all-time rivals in Ring of Honor.
That was some
great-
good old.
great-
That was some pro wrestling there, them boys.
Great match. Mark Briscoe ended up winning, as he should have. Afterwards, the entire AEW locker room came out to the stage and were clapping, and it was really emotional. Before the match, the bell even rang. Jay Lethal was like tearing up, even though he's a heel. You know, you can't help it. You can't help it.
Then he was tearing up, and then I wouldn't say I teared up, but then I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like it was like a crazy match.
I think Mark was like, "Let's fucking do this," and then
Yeah.
they
was,
went
like,
at it.
so intense about it.
They
But
went at it.
they also said that's the kind of stuff that Jay loved, is like the intense matches with the intense crowd. So I think that's what they were going for.
That crowd, I mean, the crowd there was, all about it. It was really, really good. And I think, didn't Mark do Jay's finisher?
I think so.
Where it's
The one
where it's like
it's
you
like
put him in a pedigree position, but then you pick him up vertically.
it's almost
and
like
then
it's
Jay's
almost like
thing.
a Falcon Arrow type move, but like a little bit like but more of like
Yeah.
a pedigree. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
The
Like
legs
it's
go.
like a styles clash without. It's a styles clash without wrapping your legs around the arms, basically.
I'm not even saying this because of what happened. I'm just saying like it was a really good match, really really good.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, I mean that spot where Mark jumped through the table was insane. Like the way he landed too, that was crazy.
Yeah. They just wrestle,
I thought that was awesome.
you know, it's like, and Jay wrestled the same way. They just wrestle so, like, intense. I don't know how to describe it. There's like an intensity to it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of the ways that I love wrestling is when it's intense.
Well, it's like,
yeah.
again, like Jay's supposed to be playing the heel, but during this, you know, they shook, you know, for the for honor and Ring of Honor, and then they hugged at the end. During the match, Mark Briscoe unleashed what they call redneck kung fu, and then he did he did a big froggy bow, which got the crowd hyped. That elbow drop. So yeah, it was a very good main event, and that wrapped up Dynamite. I'm gonna switch it up and do Rampage and then SmackDown because SmackDown will lead straight into Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So
let's do Rampage really quick. We had I believe the show opened with this Hangman Adam Page versus Wheeler Yuta.
Do you remember when we
What's up?
when we stopped doing NXT? We would joke around like the weeks before, being like, "Do we have to?" Like when we get to NXT, we'd be like, "Do we have to?"
Are you about to
review
say,
it?
"Do we have to do Rampage?"
Dude, I'm kind of getting there with Rampage. I'm gonna be honest.
Well,
That's
this match
not
was
bad.
very good. Hangman Adam Page and Wheeler Yuta was a really good match.
it was really good. I think we should only cover it when it's a really good match or something actually happens.
Deal.
There's some
You hear that, listeners? That's what we're doing. I mean,
You wanna
sometimes I
go
bring
watch-
up NXT stuff if something happens, you know.
If you want to go watch Sunday Night Heat, get on the network and you know where to find it. All right, because that's basically what we're doing here.
If you want to watch Stevie Richards, get on the network.
If you want to watch Stevie Richards versus Rene Dupree, then you want to versus Maven.
So we had a good match with Hangman Adam Page and Wheeler Yuta, and then the main event of the show was Jamie Hayter versus Emi Sakura. I don't remember the Japanese promotion that she's from, but this match was, as Sheamus would say, a banger. It was very good.
Bangers and mash from Shires.
Not the Banger Bros.
Yes, yes. They had to change. Sheamus and Drew had to change their name.
Remember, I said in the group
But,
chat, I said, "Why did they name him that? Was it like because of like Bangers and Mash or something?" And Andy's like, "No, it's because they're putting."
No, it's because of
putting on
Sheamus's whole banger after banger thing.
Yeah.
some fish and chips.
His whole
tea,
Twitter.
tea and crumpets.
So let's let's quickly go through SmackDown. Sami was not allowed at SmackDown, according to Roman. He did not want Sami there. He had said on Raw that he didn't want to see Sami until the Rumble. Well, Sami was there and he was hiding. And the only person that knew he was there was Jey Uso. And I think one time he gets on the phone and he's like, "My dog." Jey Uso is the one saying "my dog." And so you have to assume also he's talking to Sami. Karrion Kross finally got his hands on Rey Mysterio, but the winner was Rey Mysterio, which I was surprised that they had Karrion Kross lose. And then there was a fun segment with Austin Theory out in the ring, saying that he's the most popular or the biggest star, I believe he said. And then your NXT Tag Team Champions came out, The New Day. Then out came The Miz, and The Miz was saying he's the biggest star. And then out came Bobby Lashley, who wants that U.S. title back. And then out came Brock Lesnar from the crowd, which is rare for Brock Lesnar to be. He booked it through that crowd and hopped over that barricade quick. And took out Lashley.
Good thing no one got in his way.
Brook Lesnar.
Yeah, right. Brock Lesnar. Or Bork Laser, whichever you want to say. But yeah, I mean, when the New Day came out, they said, you know, there's only 3 favorite Austins of theirs. They said Austin Creed, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Austin, Texas. Yeah, and so Lesnar also, after, you know, F5 and Lashley, he says, "See you tomorrow, buddy." But I feel like he said Bobby, but because he always calls him Bobby. Bobby. We had Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus Hit Row. It's a SmackDown Tag Team Tournament match, except for the Viking Raiders attacked Drew and Sheamus beforehand, so they could not compete. So a new team had to replace them in the tournament, and it was a team put together of Braun Strowman and Ricochet, who ended up beating Hit Row to move forward. I'm going to call it now. They're going to win the tournament. This team. Then we had LA Knight, who talked with us. Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tim, I think Tim's starting to like LA Knight a little bit more.
I do.
Maybe
I get it.
maybe
I'm in
not.
it. I know who he is now.
But he
I won't say who
came out-
anymore.
we heard he got me. He came out to Bray Wyatt's old theme song, the Firefly theme song, and he comes out dressed like Bray, but the crowd popped thinking it was
one
just
of my favorites.
right. The crowd popped thinking it really was Bray, because you never know. He's doing all these incarnation kind of stuff going on. Could have been this version of him, but he came out with a little bitty. It was like this big of a
The lantern.
And so he's out there cutting a promo about his upcoming match, and Uncle Howdy appears in the Skybucks, and that wraps up that segment. We had another SmackDown Tag Team Tournament match, Imperium versus Legado del Fantasma, and the winners were Imperium. Main event was Kevin Owens versus Solo Sikoa. No one was out there, I believe. Sami Zayn ended up coming out there and I think hesitated to attack Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I believe. And your winner was Kevin Owens in the end. He put Solo through a table, I think. Kevin Owens got the best of him in the end. So now, guys, we all watched Royal Rumble together-ish.
Yeah.
Me and Tim were together, and we watched most of it with Jeremy over this resume stuff. So let's get right into it, because we all got opinions on the show. I'm sure most of them overlap, but they opened this year's Royal Rumble at the Alamo Dome with the men's Royal Rumble. Started with Gunther and Sheamus as number 1 and number 2. Before we get into it, dude, props need to be given to Gunther, all right? The man can go. The man put on a great performance.
Not only that, I got to give props once again to Booker Andy, ProWrestlingTees.com/the PW fan to get your Booker Andy t-shirt. But before
what did
the
I
match,
say in the beginning?
You said these two guys are going to be the anchor. And you were like, they'll be in here.
Not only
I was calling people coming out, because Jeremy was ahead of us. I was like, watch, it's like Braun Strowman and Ricochet. And then you're like, you need to stop. Hire me, WWE. So yeah, unbelievable performance. And if you guys watch the press conference afterwards, Triple H talks about how people come back after working with Gunther, and they're just like, he's amazing, to work with.
He smacked my chest so hard. It's amazing. I love it.
So let's get into there. Okay. One letdown of this match to me was the lack of surprises. Now, it depends on what your interpretation of a surprise is, so we'll get into it. But Johnny Gargano returned from injury. At number 17, Rey Mysterio did not come out. Number 18 was Dominic Mysterio wearing Rey's mask. Now, I read afterwards Rey actually was injured, and that's why he couldn't compete. So they just made it into like, oh, Dominic probably attacked him or something. But he couldn't compete this year because he was actually hurt. Edge came out, which, again, could be looked at as a surprise. Logan Paul, who had a really cool spot with Ricochet, jumping each side of the ring and clothesline each other.
Yeah, I saw on TikTok, especially that spot. CM Punk and Kofi did it in Elimination Chamber. I forget what year it was, but it was like the exact same thing.
Oh, you think
there was a guy in the middle and someone ducked?
I was gonna say, you think they were gonna nod CM Punk?
Yeah,
it never happened. Philly Phil.
Yeah, it never happened.
Philly Phil.
Yeah, Logan Paul invented it.
Tim's like, I don't want to open up that can of worms right now.
Philly Phil.
And then at number 30, we had Cody Rhodes returning. One actual surprise of a superstar that is not on the active roster. I mean, he works there, but he's not an active superstar. This is why I said Edge and Logan Paul didn't count as surprises. And we all knew Cody was coming back. Was Booker T. Now, Booker T did not last very long. As Tim said when he got eliminated, that probably should have happened.
Yeah.
Tim likes to talk about one of the kicks Booker T did.
It was just like slow motion. I was like,
but we were out at dinner, and at dinner I said, if any old superstar is going to come back, it's maybe Booker T.
You did say that, yeah. You called it then.
yep.
And what's his line when he commentates?
Shucky ducky quack quack.
Great man.
You guys didn't know he still uses it. Yeah, he's the commentator for NXT, and he says it all the time.
God, that's so stupid.
So in the end, it came down to Cody and Gunther, but everyone assumed, I think, that Cody was going to win. But they made Cody put up a fight to get there. It was not, they spent probably 5-10 minutes just them two in the ring. I think the last three were him, Gunther, and Seth, I believe.
It was Logan Paul because he wasn't actually eliminated, right? Because he came.
Okay. So the final four was Seth, Logan Paul, Gunther.
Yeah.
But Cody had to work to get Gunther out. But yes, Cody Rhodes is your 2023 Men's Royal Rumble winner, and I'm excited for him and Roman, which we all predicted was going to be the thing when he first came back to WWE. That Roman's basically ran through everyone. They signed Cody to a lot of money to not use him in this way,
We just thought someone else would show up tonight, but
we thought Matt Cardona, right, was going to be one of the people.
Yeah, but like The Rock.
He pulled the swerve, bro.
Which we talked about last week. He really, I guess, wasn't. And Triple H talks about it in the press conference if you listen to that part.
He's
All
just
right,
not
let's
ready.
get into this next match because I don't. Bray Wyatt and LA Knight pitch black match.
Mountain
Dew
excuse
pitch
me,
black match,
Mountain
you mean?
Dew pitch black match.
I want to say. So Bray Wyatt came out with like some black makeup around his eyes, some like metal grills. Some, like,
Which I was
silver-
like, when he walked out, I was like, okay. I mean, I was like, not his best look, but whatever.
And then what did I say? I said, watch, the lights are going to go off and it's going to be like a purplish gray. And yes, they were.
God damn it, Andy, why are you always right?
So they basically were black lights. Let's just say that. They were black lights.
Yeah.
As Tim said, LA Knight's bright yellow attire was very distracting.
Pat McAfee had the Pat McAfee, who was
Pat
also
McAfee returned to commentating.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole genuinely did not know, so he was actually surprised. I read today. He honestly had no idea.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He said, Pat McAfee said, "Man, there's all these black lights. I'm glad I wore clean pants or
Glad I
something like that."
washed these pants, or yeah.
Yeah.
So when the lights came on, Bray Wyatt had like black light paint on. You couldn't see during his entrance, but it was over his face. It was cool. Though I don't like when they do anything with lights, like they did with the Fiend.
No.
I'm not a fan of that.
Also, Mountain Dew was everywhere, like the logo of Mountain Dew.
Now they set some stuff up in the announce table that would explode and give effect, which that didn't bother me. Okay, I get it. It kind of, but this is what bothers me. Okay, it's the same way that when the Fiend would wrestle, it doesn't seem competitive at all. He just kind of like destroys and is like monsters. I liked when Bray Wyatt wrestled and it was like back and forth like a normal wrestling match.
Yeah,
I liked the Fiend character. I didn't like how the Fiend like his matches and how they were just dominant.
I think we mentioned that before, like when Bray first came back, where like his matches though aren't like always that great.
Well, I said the time. Has
the
Bray? He's a great creative mind, but has he really ever put on a banger?
Yeah, exactly.
Has he ever
It's
put
never
on a
really
clinic? No.
That's why we're watching it, and I'm just like, this match is like, eh.
So while we were watching it, though, LA Knight, there's a kendo stick that comes out, and he gets hit with it, and the paint from the kendo stick glows and gets on Bray Wyatt, and basically Bray Wyatt ended up winning. It was a pretty short match, but afterwards they like fight. over to a side area, and Bray Wyatt puts him on
He's
this.
like taking those kendo shots too.
Yeah.
Like, it was not
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Let's get into that. Yeah, he's hitting Bray with a kendo stick. Afterwards, Bray put on some different mask, some weird mask we had never seen.
Yeah.
He's hitting Bray with a kendo stick as they're walking, and it's not affecting Bray. And he gets LA down, and LA Knight is laying on this, I don't know, makeshift
Yeah.
air pad,
Landing pad.
landing pad thing. And you look up and you see Uncle Howdy, and Uncle Howdy jumps backwards into an elbow drop and quote unquote lands on LA Knight. But if you watch the footage from a different angle, he just landed next to him. And then fire, it gets lit on fire. And then where Uncle Howdy jumped from, there's all the characters like are looking over. So while we're watching this, we're just like confused, and we talk about how that Joker meme of Joaquin Phoenix of sitting there at the end, and she's like, "What's so funny?"
Tim said it best, I think.
Yeah, and it's like, "What's so funny?" And he's like, "You wouldn't get it." And that's how I feel about Bray Wyatt thinking about all this stuff and his storyline that's going on. So I just wish I knew. If I knew what was going on, it's like watching a movie and being confused, and then if you knew, it might be a really good movie. But I have no idea.
Is it all going to come together in the end? Probably not.
And
who knows?
Why did Uncle Howdy do Sister Abigail to Bray a few weeks ago, but then did this to LA Knight?
There's no way that they have a plan. They're just winging this shit on the fly.
You really think Bray's was like, how about this week we do this?
Yes.
I mean, I kind of see now why Vince might have said no to a lot of his ideas. So after that, we had the Raw Women's Championship match, which was only 12 minutes or something. It was short. Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss. Bianca retained. Match was okay.
I'd rather have seen longer of this than Bray's match.
Yeah. More stuff is going to end up happening with her and the Bray Wyatt stuff at some point down the road. Or at least Bray said during the press conference, they'll always be tied together in some way.
Yeah.
Whether she's actually part of his group or not, I don't know. Then we had the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, this had a lot more surprises. It started with number 1, Rhea Ripley. Number 2, Liv Morgan. Natalya returned from injury. She had broken her nose, I believe, from Shayna Baszler. She actually had to have reconstructive surgery. Asuka returned with her gimmick from when she was over in Japan.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I forget there was a name. She wasn't called. Or there was a name for it over there. But it's like a twisted version of her. But she has clown face, a twisted, demented clown face paint. And she whooped ass this Rumble. She fucking killed it, man. And she has a new look. She's wearing tights. Still
yeah, it's a little more
it's a mix of her old stuff with tights underneath instead.
Yeah.
But people loved her, man. People loved her in this Rumble. She was wrestling, I feel better than she did before. She was kind of wrestling that NXT style.
Yeah, like when Triple H let her wrestle.
They let her do it, and so that was really cool to see. Piper Niven, who used to be known as Doudrop, she was Piper Niven in NXT UK. Vince changed her name to Doudrop when he brought her over to WWE, and then she hadn't been seen in a while. Now she's back to her Scottish roots, and she's Piper Niven again. So she came back. Some surprises, though, were Roxanne Perez, which is the NXT Women's Champion, Zoe Stark, she's crazy good, natural talent down there. Chelsea Green came back to WWE, and she had the quickest Royal Rumble elimination for women. Now, the reason why I read that this is why they did it is because her character now is going to kind of be like a Karen. So she's going to do an investigation on a conspiracy that got her out that quick. People are at fault for her getting eliminated so fast.
Oh boy!
So that's why. Because me and Tim were like, "Are you serious?"
They already
Yeah,
did.
she got
This
it
is
that
the,
quick.
this is. I mean, I know in wrestling they just reuse stuff when enough time goes by, but this is literally almost the same exact thing that Chris Jericho did in WCW when he's like, "There's a conspiracy against me." He's like, "And I'm gonna find out what it is." And he goes and like investigates like the White House and stuff.
Even more recent, Sami Zayn did it during the pandemic.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah,
about
exactly.
That. See, I try to
Yeah.
black that out.
The
This is
pandemic.
the pandemic era is dark. It was dark wrestling time.
We also had Michelle McCool, who was in like the front row with her kids, and her music played, and she acted all surprised, like, "I guess I'll get in the ring." And so she hopped over the barricade, but we've never seen that before, so that was kind of cool. She lasted a little bit, and then Indy Hartwell from NXT, who when she used to be a part of The Way, which was Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, and she was married to Dexter Loomis. That was their group in NXT. And then Nia Jax returned at number 30, but production fucked up and played her music, and in the middle of her music, the 10 count started. The 10 count started in the middle of her music. So it just randomly played, and people were like, what the fuck?
I'm not like most girls.
So it came down to Asuka, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley. Came down to Asuka, and then the number 2 spot and the number 1 spot. It ended up being all three because Tim, you liked how this ended too. You were like, "Oh, that was a pretty cool way." I'd never seen it end that way before. So all three ladies are on the apron. Rhea's in the middle. Liv's on one side. Asuka's on the other. Asuka goes for the mist. Rhea ducks. It hits Liv. Asuka gets eliminated. Rhea loses her footing and slips, and she holds onto the top ropes. And Liv, who can't see, Rhea lifts her legs up and puts them on to Liv's shoulders and flips Liv out.
Yeah, that was a badass. Like, it looked good.
It was a really cool ending.
Because she,
so Rhea,
the way Rhea lifted her legs, like real quick, it was like a quick, like she like snapped her down, and it like looked real quick and good. It like looked legit.
Now Rhea joins maybe 2 or 3 other people that started at number 1. Shawn Michaels. Sorry, guys. Chris Benoit. And was there another one, Tim, that started from number 1?
Flair came in at number 2 in the '92 Royal Rumble, and he.
I hate that shit. Which is basically number 1, but
Yeah.
Same thing.
With a tear in my eye. Sorry.
Royal Rumble. I'm actually gonna Google it.
That's what he says when he wins that Rumble. This is the greatest night of my life.
It's a good impression.
So yeah, Shawn Michaels won twice. I did not know, but his first time winning was from the number 1 spot. Then we had Chris Benoit, and then as I scroll, Edge won. During the pandemic, he won from number 1 when Randy came back in at the end. Him and Randy started the match. Yeah. So Rhea Ripley.
Greatest wrestling match ever.
Rhea Ripley won
The greatest wrestling match ever.
Did I not say? Well, I think most people were like, Rhea has to win. I know I was saying it. And the crowd was happy. You know, the crowd, as much as you might. I think the Judgment Day has grown on the audience. Dom, you don't hate anymore because it's kind of like humorous now.
Yeah, I will say this about the Rumble.
Yeah, I still hate it.
I saw people, a couple people complaining that it's predictable, but I can't remember which podcaster said this, but they said it best. I listen to so many during the week, I get lost, but they said sometimes when you go to a steak, or it was basically something like this. Sometimes when you go to a steakhouse, you just want some steak, and it's not, the fact that Cody and Rhea Ripley won, it's like they should have won. You don't gotta swerve it just because, just to fuck with people.
Being predictable is okay sometimes.
Now I said it a bunch of times. I said it out at dinner. They shouldn't have told us Cody was coming back. We should have just assumed.
Yeah,
But they shouldn't have told us.
that was the big thing.
Now, Tim, are they saying the Rumble was always predictable or just this one?
No, they were saying this one was predictable, and I was just saying like sometimes it just needs to happen. Just do it, all right? Like,
well, I mean, I was gonna say like when
Yeah.
Shinsuke won, that wasn't predictable. When Edge won during the pandemic, I didn't think Edge from the get go was gonna win.
talk about a guy. Talk about a guy who Shinsuke. Talk about a guy. He won the Royal Rumble, and like
He lost to AJ. He didn't end up winning the.
Yeah,
Him and Asuka
and now,
won the
and
Royal
now
Rumble
what's
the same year.
Where is he
they both
now? Is he
lost.
hurt?
I don't know.
Yeah, where is Shinsuke going?
I think the last time we saw him was when he went to Japan for the Noah show.
I mean, that's the last time you've heard anything about him wrestling related. So yeah, Rhea Ripley is your winner. She actually right now, I don't know if she already said it, but she's supposed to be on Raw telling which title she's gonna go for. I have my TV muted, so I don't know if she already has. Let's get into this main event. So they did not end with a Rumble this year. They ended with Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I enjoyed this match. Was it amazing? No. I thought the story they told during it, though, was very good. We'll talk about, obviously, what happened afterwards, but during the match,
Yeah,
Kevin Owens came close many times. They did the whole ref got knocked out thing, and, Kevin did get a cover. He technically beat Reigns without a ref. At one point, I think it's right after the ref gets, knocked down. Yeah, it is, because Roman wants Sami to get a chair, but he kind of hesitates to give it to Roman. And
yeah.
I think, does Kevin get the stunner on him, or did Roman stop it? I don't remember.
Well, he gets the chair in there, and then Kevin stuns him.
Well, one of the last things
And
that kind
pins
of...
him.
Okay, I was going to say, because one of the last things that kind of gets Kevin Owens beat is Roman takes Kevin to the outside and smashes his head into the steel steps two times, which looked like it hurt. I know his hands were back there, but it still looked like it fucking hurt. Roman wins with a spear, pins Kevin Owens. Now, let's get into what happened afterwards, because, as Tim said, great storytelling, this whole bloodline Sami Zayn stuff. As Roman said on Monday during the trial of Sami Zayn, this was going to be Sami's final test. So afterwards, the bloodline beats down Kevin Owens, kind of like they overkill him.
Yeah, major overkill.
Yeah, they beat him down, and they end up handcuffing him to the ropes and just super kick after super kick after super kick. And after he's been beaten down enough, Roman Reigns picks up the chair, and Sami Zayn stops him, and he says, you don't need to do this. He says, you're beneath this, my tribal chief. And Roman's like, you're right. He's like, you should do it. So he hands Sami the chair. And Sami's hesitating, and Roman, gets in his face and shoves his face, actually, a couple times. Gets in his face. He's like, you don't want to be a part of this. Why don't you go back to doing jackass shit? Harking back to his match against Johnny Knoxville last WrestleMania. And he talks about how, he let him into his family and all this stuff. And just like the Shield, very reminiscent of the Shield betrayal, Roman's facing Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn takes that chair and hits Roman in the back, and that crowd fucking plodes, man.
Crazy.
That crowd went nuts for it. And Jey Uso's back there, and he goes, it's like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And then Jimmy Uso gives Sami a super kick. Sami falls to the ground.
Jey Uso needs to get some credit here. He was great in this whole segment.
This is what I sent you guys the thing. I was like, swipe. If you go through, it's like, and the Oscar goes to Jey Uso.
Yeah, the supporting
for best supporting actor.
Oh yeah.
So Jimmy Uso afterwards super kicks Sami Zayn. Solo Sikoa gives him a Samoan spike, and Roman beats Sami down with a chair. And Jey Uso walks away, walks down that long ramp to the back. And eventually he got on Twitter and said, I'm out. And then he put like a little blood drop. So looks like Jey Uso's out of the bloodline, which is fantastic storytelling considering he's the guy from the get-go that didn't trust Sami Zayn and ended up being the closest with him.
And then you see Jimmy getting jealous of their friendship because he was like, I'm your real brother. He's not your brother.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so many layers.
And so
Amazing.
by the end, they leave Sami and Kevin. Kevin has been hanging there by these handcuffs for a minute. And Sami's laying on his back, basically dead. And Roman takes the pedals off of the lay. And just, it's so poetic. And
that was so good.
Just a fan. One of the, like we said, one of the best stories that have been told in wrestling in a long time.
You know what sucks about it too?
It wasn't even supposed to happen though. Sami and Kevin, the whole Sami with Bloodline thing wasn't supposed to last this long.
But like what sucks about it is like it feels so special. It's almost like when you watch a really good movie and like you know the end is coming and you're like sad that because you can never rewatch it for the first time. Like this Bloodline feud. Like
the only other thing I can compare to this wrestling wise I can compare to this is the Festival of Friendship with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Yeah. When like you knew it had to come to an end at some point, and then Owens pulled that trigger, and you know Jericho reads the list. He's like, "My name's on the list," and it's the list of KO, and he gets him. You know the payoff was great for this. And I think every fan out there that has been watching was happy with it.
Yeah,
I don't see how you
couldn't. Actually, makes me want to see what's going to happen next now.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little bit left. There's still a little bit left. So,
what Booker Andy predicts is that one, Kevin Owens still doesn't really want anything. They don't become buddy right away, again. You know, he still fucked over Kevin Owens for a little bit. It's going to take, Sami's going to have to win Kevin's trust back. And this is what I think happened. So Sami did that for Kevin, right? So Elimination Chamber is in Quebec. And I think it would make sense to have Sami versus Roman. Okay?
Yeah.
And something happens to where Kevin Owens saves Sami this time.
Also, I can't wait until Sami gets his theme music back.
Yeah, that one.
The whole crowd was singing.
But I mean, I originally thought maybe at WrestleMania, you know, you'll have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking the belts from the Usos. I mean, they're still tag team champs, but Jay's out of the bloodline, according to him. So where do you go from there? But you have to end this story with the bloodline Sami with Roman versus Sami. You have to make people believe Sami might be able to overcome Roman instead of like a squash match.
Right. Yeah, which, I mean, it's not going to be believable if it's at Elimination Chamber, though. So I don't know how you do it. Because you know he's not going to win.
Oh, if they have a singles match there?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's not going to matter in the end, though. I think what's going to be the takeaway is if Kevin Owens comes out and they reunite and, you know, like that's going to be the story that leaves fans in the end.
You know, we should use that line from Paul Heyman for you, for Booker Andy, saying, because, you know, he's always like, it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler.
Yeah, this isn't a prediction, guys, all right?
That's right.
It's a fucking spoiler. But, I mean, yeah, if they do it in Quebec, where, you know, I believe Sami's, like, from that area or near, and Kevin Owens is from Canada as well, I mean, you want a crowd to be on someone's side at the end when Kevin Owens reunites with his best friend from Canada. Like, dude, the place would explode again.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
Vince is like, that's pretty good, pal, but I think they would look both better in clown costumes. Or maybe they'll be like a farmer tag team. Maybe two garbage men.
But, I'm excited to see what happens on SmackDown. I'm sure they're playing like Kevin Owens got beat the hell down, that he's not going to be on Raw tonight.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
I mean, I haven't heard anything about it. They haven't said anything on Raw tonight, so.
I doubt he is.
Which we'll cover Raw and everything and SmackDown and the fallout of the Royal Rumble next week. Maybe we'll call the episode that, Fallout of the Royal Rumble. Because it basically will be that. But that wraps up the show. Tim, if you want to give your classic show of the week and take us out of here.
Well, the classic show of the week, and I'm not going to say who wins, and I won't get into it as much detail as I normally do because I feel like that'll kind of spoil it. But since this is a Royal Rumble show, the classic show of the week is the Royal Rumble 2003. There's some banger singles matches, and the Rumble itself is very fun. Very, very fun. Great cast of characters. Enjoy, and I hope that you guys all do your homework, or I'm giving you all an F and you're failing the class. Well, if that wraps it up, I'll close us out. That was episode 70. Thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to be back next week. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to talk all things pro wrestling. Bye-bye, everybody, and have a great day wherever you are. Take care.